Before we dive into this incredible HFY sci-fi story, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Your support helps bring more epic tales of humanity's courage against the stars. And don't forget, share this video with a friend who loves sci-fi as much as you do. The arena shook when she dropped. 15 seconds later, they were running for their lives. Rose Jenn could still taste the metallic tang of blood in her mouth as the blinding lights of the alien arena flickered on, revealing the absolute chaos she'd left behind. What should have been her public execution had become something else entirely. The champion of Xerion 7th, a 10-foot creature with chitinous armor and claws sharp as razors, lay motionless on the crystalline floor, its blue bodily fluid spreading in a pattern she recognized as arterial. She shouldn't have won. No human should have. For the past 6 months, ever since she'd been yanked from her small Kansas town by a tractor beam that appeared out of nowhere during a thunderstorm, Rose had watched dozens of champions from different worlds get slaughtered in this very arena. The Galactic Federation had turned violence into entertainment, and humans, poor, primitive, backwards humans, were considered the consolation prize. The cosmic joke? The comic relief before the real fights. The crowd in the stands, a grotesque mixture of life forms from hundreds of different planets, had come to laugh. To watch the small, soft-skinned bipedal creature get torn apart by the galaxy's true warriors. The betting pools didn't even consider the possibility of human victory. The only question was how many seconds Rose would last. 30 seconds. That was the human average against a Xerion Warrior. Rose lasted 15 minutes. It wasn't her strength that made the difference. Xerions were 5 times stronger than any human. It wasn't her speed, and they were faster too. It was something none of the other species seemed to possess, something the arena organizers couldn't quantify in their biological analyses. Pure, white-hot rage. As the Xerion approached, confident in its obvious superiority, Rose remembered everything she'd lost. Her 8-year-old daughter, Emma, who was probably still waiting for her to come home from work. Her ex-husband, David, who, despite all his problems, didn't deserve to have to explain to a child that her mother had simply vanished. Her simple, imperfect, but hers life. The Xerion's first strike was calculated, almost dismissive. Its claws tore through the air where Rose had been a second before. She'd thrown herself sideways, not with the grace of a trained warrior, but with the desperation of a mother who needed to get home. What happened next surprised even Rose. Decades of hard farm work, years of hauling feed bags and dealing with half-ton animals, muscles built not in fancy gyms but through real, brutal, honest labor. All of it had prepared her body in ways no alien scanner had detected. When the Xerion stumbled after its first miss, Rose didn't hesitate. Her hands found a loose metal bar from the safety barrier. Apparently, arena maintenance wasn't perfect, and she wielded it like she'd wielded tools her entire life. Not like some fantasy elf sword, but like what it was, a tool to get the job done, the job of surviving, the job of getting home. The first strike broke one of the Xerion's claws. The second cracked its shell. On the third, Rose realized she'd found something fatal. The creature staggered, blue fluid gushing from a major artery she'd hit by pure chance. But it wasn't chance, she realized. It was basic anatomy. Every animal had vulnerable spots, and anyone who'd grown up butchering chickens and helping with cattle births knew where to look. The silence in the arena was deafening. Thousands of beings from hundreds of different worlds, all united in a moment of absolute shock. In the VIP boxes, she could see the event organizers, ethereal, elegant beings who considered themselves superior to all the lesser species, whispering among themselves with something that looked a lot like panic. That's when the sirens started wailing. Impossible! She heard one of the alien commentators mutter through a universal translator that was still working. Scans indicated the human species had only a 16% chance of inflicting minimal damage. How? Rose spat blood onto the crystalline floor and looked directly into the cameras broadcasting the event across the galaxy. Her clothes were torn, her body covered in wounds, but her eyes, her ordinary human, dirt-brown eyes, blazed with something none of the superior species recognized. Hope. "My name is Rose Jenn," she said, her voice hoarse but clear. "I'm from Earth, and I'm going home." The arena shook again, but this time it wasn't because of her fall. It was because somewhere deep in the station, security alarms had started blaring. Because the other human champions, those who'd been kept alive for future public executions, had heard her words, and because Rose Jenn had just done something that would change the course of galactic history forever. She'd proven that humans weren't what they appeared to be. They were something much, much worse. For tyrants, anyway.